practice routine would you recommend daily?
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to practice routines, first of all, I there's so many things to pick apart here because the word routine, right? Would you agree, Brock, that people are different?
Everyone's different. Yeah.
Everyone's different, right? Some people, depending on their personality, love routine and they strive, or they, excuse me, they thrive on having a daily routine of doing the same thing or very similar things. If you study personalities, other people, like myself, hate routines. I can't stand having to do the same thing over and over again. In fact, in my, all the years of trying to figure out how to practice and all that and listening to all the gurus out there and all the advice that you hear all the time, which is like, you need to have a set schedule and sit down and practice this for 10 minutes and this for 20 minutes and that for 30 minutes. I literally could never, ever do that. I tried for a long time and I could never do that. So the first thing is to recognize, what kind of personality do you have? Are you a person that likes to have routines? Are you a person that likes to sit down and do this and this and this and this and then do the same thing tomorrow, the same thing the next day? Or are you a person that kind of, you need to keep your interest up, so you need to follow your curiosity or do something that is going to interest you at the time. Otherwise, you just won't stick with it, right? I'm that kind of person. So I need to know that. That's the first step of determining your own practice routine. So I'm going to kind of switch the question around here. The original question was, what's a good practice routine to do daily? I'm going to answer that in a few parts. The first part is to recognize what kind of person you are, whether you like to do routine things or not. And when it comes to what should you actually practice? Well, you need to determine one thing first. What is it that you actually want to do on the guitar? So you need to spend some time thinking about, what are your actual guitar playing goals? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to be able to pick up the guitar and do? For example, if one guitar player says, I want to be able to sit around a campfire and play Bob Dylan songs, and another guitar player says, I want to go on stage and play like Eric Clapton and play lead guitar and solos, well, those are two very different types of guitar playing, right? The first person might play an acoustic guitar, and they're probably only going to play chords, mostly what they call cowboy chords or open chords, like your general G, C, D, things like that, right? They may even sing. Whereas the person who wants to go on stage and play like Eric Clapton or play lead guitar or improvise or something like that, well, they're going to be working on a completely different set of skills. More scales, more improvising, phrasing, lead guitar, playing solos, things like that. Whereas the first person playing the acoustic guitar around a campfire is probably not almost ever going to touch that stuff if they don't want to, if that's not their goal. Okay. So we talked about two things so far. First is determine what your personality is. Are you a person who likes routine or not? Do you thrive on having a routine or not? The second thing is determine what your goals are. What is it that you want to do on guitar? The third thing I would say, and obviously this is a loaded answer, right? It's not just a simple, here's the perfect practice routine. It doesn't work that way. And by the way, anybody, that you've seen out there, and we've all seen this, anybody who can say like, here's your perfect practice routine, or here's what you should do every single day on guitar, you can't, it's impossible to give somebody a recommendation like that, because it's just like going to the doctor's office. And if you imagine, if you went to the doctor's office and they literally prescribed every single patient the exact same medicine, it's not going to work, right? It might even kill some people. You don't want to do that. Take that with a grain of salt. And you want to do some deeper thinking and deeper research when somebody tells you that this is the thing, this is the practice routine or whatever it is. So far we have personality. Second, we have your goals. There's four things. The third thing is you need to find some method or some guide or a person. It can be a mentor, it can be a course, it can be a book, whatever it is that your goals are. Step number two, you need to find something that's going to guide you to get to those goals. Imagine if you have a ladder. If you're trying to get from the ground floor to the first floor, and you don't have stairs or anything like that, you have to climb a ladder. Well, if you had a ladder that only had the sides, but it didn't have any rungs, you can't go anywhere. You can't climb up that ladder, right? You're going to stay on ground zero. But having a guide or having a mentor, a book, or a method or a process to reach whatever guitar playing goal that you have is kind of like having rungs in that ladder. So you can take the first step, then the second step, then the third step, and eventually you will get to the next level when you follow that method, right? But it has to be the right method for you. And that's the important part. It has to be the right method based on your personality, based on what goals you want to achieve. So again, the third step is to have some kind of guidance or structure that tells you the steps and guides you to get to those goals. Finally, we arrive at the practice routine. The fourth thing is, what should you practice? What should a daily practice routine look like? I always recommend something that I like to call the 2-minute practice routine. The reason is because, not that I want somebody to practice for 2 minutes, right? That's not the goal. Obviously, more practice, if you know what you're doing and if you do things in the right way, is going to lead to more results and faster results. But the thing is, most of us have a problem with knowing what to practice, or knowing that we want to pick up the guitar, we want to play the guitar well, but we just don't pick it up, or it just sits in the case, it just collects dust, right? What's the reason for that? It's not because you're not smart. It's not because you don't have a good work ethic. It's not because there's something wrong with your fingers or that you don't have talent or anything else that anybody else can tell you. Any of those myths about guitar that all the non-good guitar players just keep repeating because they don't know how it really works, right? It's not any of that stuff. The reason most people procrastinate when it comes to guitar playing is because they don't know exactly what they should do right there in that moment to get them towards their guitar playing goals. If they did, there wouldn't be any friction, there wouldn't be any procrastination, and they would be excited about doing it, and they wouldn't be able to wait to get home and pick up their guitar and play that thing because they know they're going to get better when they do it, right? That's why this is so important to give, I'm giving a long answer on what's a practice routine. Well, it depends. And it depends on what's your personality. It depends on everything else that we talked about, right? What's your personality? What is it that you want to achieve on guitar? Who is going to guide you to get there? And then finally, we arrive at the actual practice routine. I call it the 2-minute practice routine because everybody's busy. All I want you to do is, once you find the method or the thing that's going to tell you what you should do next, the only thing I want you to do on the practice routine is pick up your guitar. That's step one. Pick up the guitar. Ask yourself, what do I want to improve most right now? Third step, do it. That's it. It's that simple. All you need to do is get started. It's like a car engine. You stick the key in the ignition and you turn it. How long do you leave the key in the ignition? Like, how long do you turn the key? Until it starts, right? Once it's started, it runs on its own. 2-minute practice routine is the same thing. Once you commit to yourself, you say, I'm going to pick up the guitar for 2 minutes. I'm just going to pick it up. That's like starting the engine. Once it's started, once you have the guitar in your hands, and when you know what to do, when you know what to do next, and you know what goal you're trying to reach, man, the car's going to keep running and running and running and running, right? You don't have to supply any effort for that. So anyway, the whole question was, what's a good daily practice routine? Well, it all boils down to, really, the answer is it depends. And the real answer is, it depends on your personality, whether you like routines or not. It depends on what your guitar playing goals are. You need to determine that. It depends on what or who you have in place to help guide you toward those goals, because you need the rungs in the ladder. You need somebody to tell you those things. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know. If you did know, you'd already be better by now. So you need somebody to guide you. It's just like having a coach. And then finally, the fourth thing is, I always recommend the 2-minute practice routine. Once you know what to do, once you know what your goals are, just say, I'm going to pick up the guitar for 2 minutes. Work on the number one thing that you want to get better at that day, and you will get better every single time you pick up the guitar.
I love that 2-minute idea because it's hard for some people to block off 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. But if you just get into that habit of just picking it up for 2 minutes, right? That's the hardest part of the battle, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah, just picking it up. And that goes with
you
any.
Just need to start the engine.
That goes with any skill or habit that you're wanting to build. Just getting, like, I was reading in Atomic Habits that there are some people that will. This one guy would he would say, I'm going to the gym for 5 minutes, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
He'd go for 5 minutes and leave. And he'd go for 5 minutes and leave. And go for 5 minutes and leave. And then eventually he's like, well, I'm already here. I guess I'll just keep working out, right? So,
yeah, that's it.
That's good. Good stuff. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. We would love it if you hit the like button, leave a comment below, tell us what you thought about it, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to release really great content, some great backing tracks so you can practice your guitar skills on. And if you're interested in taking your guitar to the next level, we have a free course that we want to give to you. It's in the description of this video. It's going to help you discover how to freely express yourself on guitar without endless amounts of scales and theory. So check it out and let us know what you think. Thanks.